So, hello and welcome back to the Yoga Teacher Collaborative podcast, which we record live inside the Yoga Teacher Collaborative Facebook group. If you are watching the video today, you will see I am in a totally different location. My husband and I moved house last week. We are still in Hampshire, but just into the edge of the New Forest. We have moved into a very rural, isolated setting. So you can see, although a lot very light behind me, just an ancient woodland behind me. So I'm very, very happy to be recording this live for you from here. If you are new to the podcast, my name is Laura Green. I am a yoga teacher, a teacher trainer, an author, and a business mentor for yoga teachers. Here inside the Yoga Teacher Collaborative, we explore everything needed to thrive as a yoga teacher. And that is to thrive within your business, within your soul, within your teaching passion, within your spiritual practice, the full experience of what it is to live and work as a yoga teacher. Today is a very business orientated session as we're looking at how to review and increase your class prices, but also this would be the same for your workshops or your retreats, really prices. And this is in response to requests and many of the coaching calls I do. So I do a lot of one-to-one, one-off individual 90-minute coaching calls. And one of the consistent things people book these calls for is to review their pricing. It is difficult, isn't it? Changing our class prices brings most of us out in a little cold sweat. It can make us feel anxious, awkward, uncomfortable. It can be something in which we very much bury our head in the sand and don't increase prices. And that isn't serving you. It's not supporting you. It's not enabling you to show up and support your students in the best way forwards. So I have got some notes today because I want this just to be very, very clear, to give you actionable steps to go away from this session and to first review your prices. I'm not increasing my class prices this year. I increased them September 2024. So yeah, coming up to a year, but I don't increase my prices annually because you don't just have to follow oh, well, the world increases their prices annually, so that's what I'm going to do. No, we review, we make strategic decisions based on your business, your nervous system, and what is the right way for you to move forwards in alignment. And I bring up the nervous system because our relationship with price and pricing is affected by our nervous system. And whether you want to make incremental steps that feel safe in your nervous system, whether you want to leave longer pauses that feels more safe and manageable in your nervous system. So there is no one size fits all. So that is why we start with reviewing your prices and then maybe increasing your prices. And there are many ways that you can do that. But a healthy business includes healthy prices. Okay, so it is an important thing to look at. And when it comes to pricing, and we'll talk about this in a moment, and there is another podcast on just the same topic, I prioritize fair pricing. Now, that is fair for me, fair for my students, fair for my suppliers. Especially when it comes to things like retreats, I want to be able to fairly pay my caterer. I want to be able to use my local independent suppliers, my local independent printer, who will be more than maybe Vistaprint, but I want to support that local business. He checks my work. I want to have that kind of relationship. So fair pricing for you, fair pricing for your suppliers, and fair pricing for your students. Not necessarily affordable, fair. Fair pricing. Affordability can be explored in other ways, such as packages, offers, concessions, but fair pricing. So part one, when we are looking at reviewing and increasing your class prices, is to explore when is it time to review your class prices? Well, you should review them annually, but when is it time to change your class prices? So some people prefer more regular increases, so maybe every 12 to 18 months of a smaller amount. Some people prefer more staggered increases, so every 3 to 4 years, but of a more significant amount. I am in that latter category, so I'm just going to work this through. One of the things that is helpful to look at and can stop this feeling too personalized is the inflation calculator. So just Google Bank of England inflation calculator, and that can help you work out, say, what were your prices were when you began teaching, and what would they look like if they had increased in line with inflation in that time. And inflationary increases is really fair. But also, so is more than inflation. Because if you set your prices 5 years ago when you were a brand new teacher, inflation in 5 years means your class prices will have gone up, but also in 5 years, you have become more skilled as a teacher. You are no longer entry level. So your skill level might mean that you increase more than inflation. So I do want you to look at the Bank of England inflation calculator, but I don't want you to think that you only have to increase by inflation, because that does not take into account the increase in your skill level, the evolution in you in a teacher, the upgrade in a venue or a space, the upgrade in the props that you bring in, different skills that you want to bring into the practice. So don't have to stay in line with inflation, but I still want you to look at it. So I started teaching 15 years ago. When I started teaching 15 years ago, I did a class price of £7 drop-in or £30 for 5 classes. In that time, in 15 years, I had only changed my class prices 4 times because I prefer a larger increase less frequently. And by larger, I'm really normally talking about £1, but inflation would be pennies. I like to have round class price numbers, £10, £11, £35. I don't want to deal with the pennies. I don't want a £9.25 class. You might feel smaller and more regularly is better for your nervous system. So don't just take what I say. I'm explaining the logic here. So £7 drop in, £30 for 5 classes 15 years ago. Then you go into the inflation calculator, you set that price when it was, and then you ask it to calculate what that would be today. And I was really curious to do that. So I put £7 in for 15 years ago, clicked the price calculator, inflation price calculator, and it said that was £11 today. And actually, that's exactly what my drop in is. £11. Now, I haven't done it that way. It's just coincidental, but that is that exact in line with inflation. It doesn't reflect any changes in my skills in 15 years, so I could have gone more than that. But what has changed for me is that when I started teaching 15 years ago, I might have had 5 people in a class. And now I have 20 to 25 people in a class. So I am being paid a lot more per hour, even though my price increases only stayed in line with inflation. My earning ability is a lot more than that because my class capacity has increased. So you can factor that in as well. And then when I looked at my passes, I was £30 for 5. That today, if I was selling a 5-class pass, would be £46. But I changed methodology. I no longer do a 5-class pass. I actually do a month pass. So if I take that £46 that was for 5 and divide it by a month, that's £9.29 a month, which is exactly, sorry, £9.29 a class per month, which is exactly what I charge. So I'm £39 per month, which is £9 something a class. So my prices have absolutely mirrored the Bank of Inflation increase, Bank of England inflation increase without having intentionally planned it that way. But my class capacity has increased, which represents a change in my skill level and a significantly higher hourly rate of earning per class. So how could you've done that? You could go for a more regular, increasing by a few pennies. But what did I do? As I said, I've only done 4 changes. So 15 years ago, I was £30 for 5 classes. Then, after a few years, it might have even been 4, I increased to £34 for a 5-class pass. So that was a £4 increase, a much bigger increase, but still, £4 for 5 classes as an increase wasn't much. And then I made a change and a pivot another 5 years later, that's when I changed from the 5-class pass to monthly, which is an equivalent of like 4.2 classes a month. And that's when I became £36. And then that £36 increased last year to £39 per month for access to 1 class a week. So why I wanted just to work that down for you is so you can see there is thought, there is logic, there is maths, and there's 2 camps here. More regular, smaller increase, that's going to be talking about pennies. You're going to have drop-ins that's £10.25, things like that, but an annual increase in line with inflation or slightly higher to reflect the change in your skills. Or you can leave it longer and do larger increases less frequently. And larger might sound scary, but in the world of yoga, larger means I'm increasing it by £1 a class versus 20p a class. Most of your students will be able to take that increase of £1 a class, and it feels more comfortable. I don't feel comfortable every year going, I'm increasing prices, I'm increasing prices, I'm increasing prices. That doesn't feel comfortable in my nervous system. What feels more comfortable for me is, oh, Laura's classes prices haven't changed for like 4 years. Oh, they're changing by £1. Of course, that's totally fine with me. And I've never had any backlash at all from the change in price or the change in structure. My students almost expect it every time. So they're like, God, Laura hasn't increased her price for ages. So it actually feels a more comfortable conversation for me and my nervous system than the regular smaller, because all people hear is price increase, price increase, price increase. And I noticed this with some of my venues. One of my venues does an annual in line with inflation price increase. And it kind of annoys me more in that there they are increasing their price again versus my halls that do it less frequently, but do it by a larger amount when they do it. But this is very personal. So just think through those 2, regular and small, less regular and larger, and what naturally feels better for you. And then also thinking of that example of you can change from passes to subscription. So when I saw that my 5-class pass that 15 years ago was £30 should have been £46 now, I was like, oh, that felt a lot. But then when I actually worked out, well, I'm £39 a month, and that is the same amount. It just feels a smaller and more manageable number. £39 a month feels better than £46 for 5 classes, but it's virtually the same amount. Okay, what are other indicators that it is time to increase? Just that, yeah. Are you keeping in line with inflation? Should you be increasing your prices regularly? Yes. Now, what else can you look at aside from just inflation? Price versus demand. My husband says this to me time and time again, and he's not wrong, but I don't like to hear it. When things sell out too quickly, they were probably too cheap. But what is too quickly? There's many things that I will put up for sale and they will be sold out within 12 hours. That might be a workshop. It might be I've just done 2 pop-up outdoor yoga classes. They were sold out within a matter of hours. Okay, just different reasons for that selling out very quickly. But retreats, many of my retreats will sell out in 2 to 3 hours. Many of the retreats never even get advertised. That is an indicator that maybe the price is a little too cheap, that people aren't having to all just pause. But I think the demand has to be more than just it's sold out. Because if it just sold out at that price, maybe it was bang on. And this is where I argue with my husband. But if it sold out too quickly, and then you have a large wait list, it definitely was too cheap. So invariably, I will have a wait list, or excuse me, 50% the size of the original event. So if the event could take 10 people, I'll often end up with 5 on a wait list. That is normally an indicator that the event can do with a price increase. So are you in that situation? Are your workshops, are your classes, are your pop-ups selling out and having a wait list 25 to 50% as much as the original capacity of the event? Then it's time to increase the price on that event. It's a fairly clear indicator. Does there feel like there's a misalignment? A misalignment with what you're offering? Is there a slight feeling of resentment that, you know what? That took half my day. That 1 hour yoga class, I drove 40 minutes to get there. I got there 15 minutes early to set it back. I was only charging this amount. Then, and a slight kind of, well, that was half my day for X income, even though the class was full. Again, an indicator that you've outgrown that price. So if there's that slight misalignment, that the price is no longer feeling fair for you, it's really an indicator that it's time to review that price. Rising costs, obviously, we covered that in just cost of living inflations, but what about the rising costs of your venues, rising costs of your travel to get there? If your costs are rising, then it's fair to reflect that in your prices. Have you invested in further training, and has your teaching evolved? When you get a job, say you're an apprentice electrician, you go in at an apprenticeship, you go in at a base rate. You're a hairdresser, junior hairdresser, you have a base rate. As the skills of that person increases, so does their earning. They're no longer a junior hairdresser, they're a hairdresser, they're a senior stylist, they're a head stylist, and therefore the price increases with that. That is fair for you as well. And I do sometimes struggle with this. There's been quite an increase in my retreat prices recently for many a reason. The costs of running retreats abroad has gone up exponentially. It is eye-watering, the costs of venues and catering and transportation now in hosting retreats abroad. My retreats sell out exceptionally quickly and have a wait list of at least 50% of the capacity of the retreat. And you know what? And the bit that does feel harder for me is I've been running retreats for a decade now. And I know the skill level I bring. I'm not a junior anymore. Those retreats are deeply impactful, deeply nourishing. So my retreat prices have increased a lot in the last decade, which is reflecting things outside of my control, venue increases, but also a skill increase as a retreat facilitator. So has your teaching evolved? Of course it has. Of course it has. You are not the same entry-level apprentice teacher you were X long ago. So time to increase those prices. So do that work, my love. Review, review, review. This month in July, we have 4 planets retrograding. Little astrology bit here. We've got Neptune retrograding, Saturn retrograding, we've got a Mercury retrograding, we've got Chiron retrograding all through July. Retrogrades mean review, revise, and then respond to the learnings of your revision. So go do that work, please, my darlings, and review your prices. Next step, part 2, mindset. So you've done that kind of clinical intellectual review and you're like, yeah, do you know what? Laura was right. It is time to increase my prices. Then what happens is the demon of doubt, the mindset the money limiting beliefs, the fear, the lack of trust and abundance starts to come up. And these are all buttons that get pushed for a reason. So you can heal through these stories, not so that you can stay small and keep your prices low, not in line with inflation and not in line with your increasing costs. So money and mindset blocks are there for you to evolve and heal through, not to run away from. Okay, so mindset shifts I'd really love you to consider moving from affordable to fair. Because affordable for who? Fair for who? When we're talking about affordable pricing, you have to be able to afford your life. You have to be able to afford to look after your kids and your family members in the way you wish to. You have to be able to afford time off to look after yourself. You have to be able to afford holidays, times to recharge, to recoup your energy. You need to be able to afford to invest in your own mental health, your own spiritual practice, your own learning. What does affordable mean? It is not just making it affordable for all people. You can have some yoga offerings like free videos that are affordable, free resources that are affordable, a free first class. You can have slightly discounted class packages that that reward loyalty, but you don't have to be affordable. Someone messaged me yesterday asking if I offered a concessions on my kirtan, and I struggled to say, but I did say, no, I don't offer concessions. It is the same price for all. And the person came back, that's a shame. I think she said her husband was out of work, or I think it was that, and that they both wanted to come to Kirtan and they couldn't afford the £32. Now, yes, I feel that it would be nice if that person could afford it, and I'm sorry that they can't. But coming out on a Saturday night for an event, that is a luxury experience. I have free videos online of kirtan and chanting. It is not my job to make that affordable for someone if that is not affording me. And those sessions, they're £16. I like to keep them a fair price, and they sell out. So what does affordable mean? And instead shift to fair. Fair for you, fair for your suppliers, fair for your customers, and give more free things where you can to help those that can't afford to pay for events. So move from affordable to fair. Then another mindset shift that comes up is fear that people will leave. People leave yoga. People's life changes. People move. People have babies. People's job changes. People decide they want to do something else. People do leave and new people come. Small increases, be it a pound, less regularly, 24p more regularly. Yoga, coming to a yoga class is a more luxury experience. It's not always affordable for everyone, which is why we have our free offerings. So very, very rarely have I lost a student for a £1 increase. Okay? The only way to prove that to your nervous system is to do it. And then you can have a slightly cheaper offering that is a subscription that is there for loyalty. Okay, so that there are ways around that. Fear people will judge you. Will judge you for being greedy, will judge you for putting your prices up, will judge you for charging for something that's a spiritual practice. That is something that comes up for me. Definitely, that is something I do worry about. But then I just have to sit with that and going, I am not responsible for someone judging me. All I am responsible for is my own integrity. I have reviewed my pricing. I am not increasing the prices out of greed. I am increasing my prices as a fair reflection of the increase in costs, the increase in the cost of living, the increase in my skill, the increase in my training, the increase in what I'm offering. All you can be responsible for is for your integrity. And if you know that your prices are fair reflection, then if someone judges you, they judge you. It's very rare. It is very rare, but if they judge you, they judge you, and that is okay. It speaks more to their thoughts around money, their healing journey that they are on. You are only responsible for your own authentic integrity and actions. And some people may judge that that's okay. Unless they have had a conversation with you, they don't know what the thought process is behind it. So just bid them a farewell with love. But it is rare. You will probably find more than likely that people won't leave you, people won't judge you, people will completely understand, and they think it's a fair reflection of yoga that is impactful and means something to them. Undercharging leads to burnout and leads to resentment. Okay, so it's important that you heal from those stories of mindsets that's stopping you changing your pricing. Value your offerings and stop thinking about, is that a lot of money for an hour's yoga class? It's not the hour's class. It is the skills that someone is learning that they are going to take into their whole life. I would love you to think through all the moments your students have told you that they have used a skill that you have taught them off the mat. Breathing practices before job interviews, breathing practices at the dentist, on a plane, stretches when they felt stiff after gardening, mindset shifts, presence, better connection with their loved ones, better connection with their children. The number of messages and feedback I get from my students about how the skills and philosophy of yoga have had huge impacts in their life and their relationship to their body. And I know that if I'm getting that feedback, you're getting that feedback because it hasn't got anything to do with me. It's the yoga. And if I'm teaching yoga and you're teaching yoga, well, then we are having these same impacts in people's lives. It's not us, it is the yoga. So that is not paying for a 1 hour experience. That is paying for life changing skills, philosophies, mindset, nervous system down regulation. That is life changing. I've really had to get over this with retreats. I used to compare the price of a retreat to the price of a holiday. And I'd be like, yeah, but you can go and stay, in this holiday resort or have this holiday package for that amount. Okay, maybe I'll put a little bit more on for the yoga classes. But what I wasn't factoring in is yoga retreats are life-changing. The things people have told me that they have gone home after a yoga retreat and changed, implemented, moved, shifted. And that has a value to it. So when you are reflecting on your prices, stop thinking, oh my God, is £12 a lot to spend for an hour? Is £12 a lot to spend to learn a skill that might change your life? Think about that, please. Oh, that fire's coming out again. Okay. So what money beliefs, charging beliefs are tickling through your head at the moment? Time to work through those. All right, I have a lot to say today. Moving on, part 3. There's only 4 parts and then homework. Okay, part 3. How do you actually do it? And I think we've been covering this anyway. Do you want to increase by a flat, round amount? Everything's going up by £1. Everything's going up by £2. Retreats, they're all going up by £50. Everything's going up by £75. Do you want to increase it by a round amount? Or do you want to increase it by a percentage amount? I'm a round amount girl. I don't like the pennies, and I don't like £99 or £9.99, and I definitely don't like angel number pricing. £111, no thank you. Okay, so round amounts or a percentage, 10 to 15%, entirely up to you, especially now that most people are really paying online. So we don't have to worry about change. I do still have a few people that pay me cash drop-in. And when I was changing from £10 to £11 cash drop-in, that £1 coin really kept me stuck for a while. I was like, yeah, but what about those people that just do pay me cash and they don't want to change? They just put a tenner on the top of my mat. It's going to be so annoying for them to have to find a pound, and I don't want to carry a pound coin change. I made the change, and do you know what happens? They just give me £10 and a pound coin. Not a single person has tried to give me a £20 note and asked for £9 change. Sometimes they've just given me £22 and saying I'm paying for this week and next week. So I held myself stuck on that pound for ages. And people just dealt with it and say, I don't give change. Okay, I don't have change. So please bring a pound or round it up and give me cash for a couple of weeks if that's what you want to do. Okay, but preferably online payment, please. So then when it comes to communicating this price increase, communication is key, and give notice. Give about 2 to 4 weeks notice of a price increase and communicate. Communicate via email is probably the formal way to do it. And this is a formal business thing that you're doing. I don't put price creases in my mailer. Okay, so my mailers go out to my whole mailing list. There's 10,000 people on my mailing list, and I probably see 300 to 400 people in a week. So I don't want to email 10,000 people about a price increase. I just want to tell those that are regularly coming to class. So it does take me longer, but it is worth it when it's a price increase. And, we don't do them that often anyway. I will email everybody one-to-one from my main email inbox, whether that's your Gmail, your Outlook, wherever you manage your email from, one-to-one. It is not a mailer, dear all mass mail shot. I like to do it one-to-one. Okay, so I'll write an email template, I'll save it to my templates, I'll pull up my active class client list and send it one-to-one. You should be able to get that out of your booking software. And then what on earth do you write in this email? I am very happy to review drafts of these emails. And you know what I do? I'll take that email that you spent 5 hours writing and I'll probably cut 80% of the words out. You need to keep it simple. Golden rules for a price increase email. Make it personal. Dear Laura, not dear all, dear Laura, make it personal. Do not apologize. Instead, give gratitude. I'm so sorry, but I'm going to have to increase my prices. No. Dear Laura, thank you for continuing to support my yoga classes. It fills me with joy when I see you on the mat. Okay? Do not apologize, give thanks instead. Do not over-explain. People get it. Don't have to go, oh, well, there's a rise increase of my halls. I've done further training. It's costing me more in petrol to get to class. The cost of living increased. So I'm going to have to, my call hire has gone up. So I'm going to have to increase my prices. Do not over-explain. People get it. We are all living in the same world. We're all having the same cost of living increase. We're all experiencing our petrol going up. We are all in the same world. Do not over-explain it, because that actually has a feeling of kind of patronizing almost, or can be a little bit woe is me. We're all living the same thing. Just don't over-explain. And then don't justify. Do not overly justify. Justifying is a shame response. It's my astrology mentor that pulled me up on this a couple of years ago. And I've had to do a lot of healing. I was definitely an over justifier. It is a shame response that I have to justify myself, because or else you might be judging me and I want to prove my worthiness. So please don't judge me. So let me explain what I'm doing here. No. Okay. And don't ask for permission. I hope that it's okay. I hope this is okay. Do not ask for permission. All of this undermines your confidence, your authority, and that this is well considered, reviewed increase. So I keep it something very simple. Dear Laura, thank you for coming to my classes over the last year, whatever. Just thank you for coming to my classes. It fills me with joy to see you on the mat. As from September, there will be a small increase in our class prices. A drop in class will be going from £10 to £11. If you prefer a more affordable option, you could join my subscription. This works out as £9 per class based on a monthly subscription of £39 per month. This will be implemented automatically within the next 2 weeks. I look forward to continuing to see you at class. Okay? Do not over-justify, do not apologize, do not ask for permission, and just don't take up my time by writing War and Peace. We are all busy. Keep it short, sweet, 3 to 4 sentences max, send it out, 2 to 4 weeks notice. And yes, like me, my little heart will pump out of my chest when I press send on that email. For the next 24 hours, every time an email comes in, I'll look at it worrying that it's a negative response. It never is. That's just our nervous system having a little fizzy moment as it's done something new. Okay. Lastly, homework. And I really, really want you to do this homework, please. I put this time into these sessions for you to implement, change, and grow. There is no point just listening to me waffle on and thinking, oh, that sounds nice, and not doing the work. Please do the homework. The homework. I would like you to write out, review, think this through. Considered thought will help you feel more confident in your decision and the action you take. So write out, when did you last raise your prices? If you're like, oh, I'm sure it was recently, I can't really remember. It probably wasn't recently. So go and work it out. When did you last raise your prices? And look across your business offerings, your classes, your retreats, your workshops. What has changed in your business since that last class price increase? What do your current costs look like? Go and get up that Bank of England inflation calculator and put in the class prices, workshop prices, retreat prices when you first started offering them, and get it to calculate what they should be today based on the increase in inflation. And know that you deserve more than an increase than inflation in that time because your skill level has evolved in that time. Okay. So when did you last increase your prices? What has changed in your business since then? What do your current costs look like? What does the Bank of England inflation calculator say? And lastly, and spend a little bit more time with this, what price feels sustainable? Sustainable. What price feels fair for you, fair for your suppliers, fair for your students, and what feels sustainable? All right. That was our session today on how to review and increase your prices. I really hope this helps. I feel very passionate about this topic because I can't tell you how many people I have mentored through this. I do one-to-one mentorship calls. They are a 90-minute session. You book them when you need them. You book them straight off my website or just message me. If you want to go through anything like this or anything in your business, review your business to make changes for September. I do have space open through summer now that we have moved house. Everything's a little bit more settled. Retreat season has paused and will resume again in September. So do some work, come have a mentoring call if you would like one, and let me know when you've actioned this. Let me know when you've done your review. Let me know what the price of the Bank of England inflation calculator says. Let me know when you've actioned this. Share in the group your draft emails. Let us give you confidence in them. Let us tweak them for you. Let us support you. There's no point just listening to a podcast and not taking action. All right, lovelies.